Hey everybody, video 44 coming at you in another video. Wow, this is a strange occurrence that just happened just now. This morning at about 9:34 exactly, I got a call from my uncle. And I was doing a bunch of stuff, and of course everything that's going on with my grandfather, I was wondering if everything was fine on his end, but it was one of those situations where I was kind of dreading it. I'm like, oh man, maybe it's something wrong. Maybe he wants to talk to me about my progress, and I don't really have any progress to report, so I didn't know what was going on. So I was kind of dreading it, But I'm like, let me just take care of everything I had to do, because I was in the middle of, at that hour, shaving, showering, getting ready, and then I had laundry to do. I was trying to rush through the laundry so I could get out the house by the hour that we're in right now, which is like right before 1 o'clock. So I'm like, I'll do everything I got to do, and I'll give him that call and see what we need to do. See what the update is on my grandfather. Everything's fine and everything. So I did all that, and then I step out and I'm like, all right, let me turn on the camera and make a video. But I'm like, nah, let me call him first and make sure that I return that call. Because I want to be better at that type of stuff, particularly with people who are helping me in my life and just family in general. You want to return calls and stuff. Just want to be better at that. And when I called him, he said he didn't call. He said he didn't call. I don't know if it was a pocket dial or something, but he said he didn't place a call to me at 9:45 this morning. But I look at my thing and it's 9:34 this morning. But I look at my call log and it certainly shows that a call was placed and I did not answer it. So I don't know what was going on. I don't believe I misread that and that it may have been called from my end. But that doesn't seem possible, because at that very moment, I was shaving my head. I didn't have my phone in my hand or in my pocket. I was listening to something on content with the phone on the charger. So I don't know, but everything's fine with my grandfather, everything's fine with my uncle, and I don't have anything to report to him that's any bad. I'm good on my end. So it was good speaking with him, but I don't know where that call came from. And so I'm wondering, if he didn't call, could it be somebody spamming my phone using his number from a remote location? Is that possible? Because I've had weird stuff happen where people contact me on Facebook and stuff like that, as I've discussed with you guys at times. And it's just weird. I've been getting a lot of phone calls from random spots that I know are probably fake calls, So I was just wondering if somebody was playing around in that way. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. So I've been kind of concerned this morning. Not really too thrilled about calling back, based on being concerned if it was going to be some bad news. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Well, my grandfather being at this age and him being in rehab, last I heard he was doing great. From what I understand right now, he's doing very good. In fact, my uncle's on the way to the rehab center to see where granddad is, but he's in his late 90s right now. So it's like, you always have it in the back of your mind that there could be some bad news coming. So, and with my situation specifically, it's just very very strange timing, for any bad news coming from that end of the family. So don't want it, not welcoming it, and very glad that it ain't there. But it's one of those situations where I'm glad I called, because it allowed me to get some closure in regards to that. I would have been stressing about that for the rest of the day if I wouldn't have, and it was really nothing to stress. So it is what it is, man. I just want to also tell everybody about a dream I had. I've been having multiple dreams every night, and not last night, but the night before. And I didn't make any videos yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to discuss the dreams that I had. But one of them, I'll get into all three of them. First one I had involved my brother Brian. I guess I was at his house and he received some life-size electric piano / guitarish contraption. The thing was at least 6'5". It was tall, oblong, and it looked like it should be laid out on its side, and it could be utilized as a guitar. On one end, it has all the handle of a guitar, and at the top of it, it has an entire piano. That's why it's so long. So I had never seen anything like that. It was electrical. It reminded me of something out of the 80s. And I guess he received that thing, and we were trying to figure out how to put it together as it pertains to how to connect it to his devices and stuff like that. It was a very random type of thing. And then as we were connecting it to his TV, we saw his name we were watching ESPN, and his name went across the top of the screen. And it said something along the lines of, Brian Fulmer says some controversial statement about a certain play. I don't remember who the player was. I don't think it made any sense. But I guess he had done a segment on ESPN. Our brother Brian, now, I don't know him to be a sports person in any way. I don't know what the heck this had to do with him, other than the fact that I saw a picture of him celebrating with the family his wife's birthday the night before. So that's probably why he was inserted into the dream. But it's absolutely random, made no kind of sense. Didn't have a negative connotation to it at all. Then the dream drifts into something else that was kind of disturbing, had nothing to do with Ryan or anybody else that I know. But I was in this situation where I was at somebody's crib. It looked like a combination of many people's houses that I've been to over the years. But it was like I was anticipating seeing a friend that I hadn't seen in a long time. It's like I was going over there and somebody I hadn't seen in a while was going to be there. And as I find myself sitting in this living room of somebody's random house, and it's real dim in there. You can barely see. And then I see somebody come from like the left side of the room, come from the upstairs or something like that. They came down and they were going toward the kitchen area or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's my buddy right there. Man, I ain't seen this dude in a while. What's up? And as he goes into the kitchen, he's saying something to me, like he's speaking from the kitchen. Hey, B, all right, I'm coming back around in a minute. And as he comes back around, dude is a Caucasian dude. Looked like he was probably about in his 30s. Not anybody I really knew in real life at all. Nobody I knew in real life. But it was as if I was so very familiar with this person, like I grew up with this person. Like that was the vibes. Like he was somebody I hadn't seen since probably the late 90s or something. But when we was friends, it was like every day. You know what I mean? So it was like I know this dude's tendencies. I know his face. I knew who he used to be back then, that kind of thing. So it's like getting back in touch with a good friend. And as he comes up to me, he has a huge scar. Like I think it was like a Batman villain character. You know, they have like the cut mouth, right? Like Joker has a scar like this. His whole cheek was cut open to his ear. And it was not bleeding anymore. It was as if this is an old cut. And he comes up to me and he's talking to me. I see his whole mouth open like this. The other side is fine, but this side is really messed up. And he's sitting there talking to me like, hey, what's up, B? Like it was no problem. And I'm looking at him like, man. And I'm like, this is one of those situations where it's like you don't want to bring attention to the scar because it's like, obviously this is something, you know what I mean? But he seems fine. He's not in pain. But it's like, it's an eyesore. You're looking at this person, you're like, my God, what the hell happened to you type of thing, right? And the conversation's going well, but I'm still like I'm trying not to look at the scar. It's just like anything else. In that type of situation, you don't want to bring too much attention to it, but it's so there, you know what I mean? Very demonstrative. It looked like somebody had hooked his entire mouth open. Like scraped it completely open. Cheek gone, cut, all kinds of stuff. And so I'm like sitting on this couch area thing, and he comes sit next to me. He's like, man, B, what's going on, man? And I'm like, I could tell this is my friend. Like, I'm familiar. That's what it really stood out to me, was how very comfortable I was in the presence of this person. But I'm like, he ain't. What comes to mind is, how the hell did he survive that? I know you can survive certain things like that, but it looked like it hadn't been treated. You know what I'm saying? It looked like it happened and nobody ever tended to it. So I'm like, he's not dealing with it. And how is he talking? How am I able to hear him clearly with his jaw completely cut open like that? I mean, it wasn't sewed up or nothing. It was just, woof. It had been blown off or something like that. So for me, I'm like, all right, I'm concerned about my friend. That's the vibes. Like, this is concerning, man. We need to get to a doctor, bro. We gotta get some plastic surgery. You gotta get this dress. You can't keep walking around like, that's what my thinking is. It's not, this is scary or I'm uncomfortable or I'm weirded out. I'm like, yo, this is my friend. He doing bad, man. Let me show some concern. So as I'm getting ready to bring it up, I see somebody else come down the stairs and make the same path to the other room that he did. And his demeanor changes. But it was like, that was my friend too. It was one of them type of situations where it's like, oh yeah, and buddy number 2's over there too. And just call him Joseph or something like that. Hey, Joseph just came down. He's like, his whole demeanor changed from being very happy to see me to like somber and sad, like really deep sadness. And he was like, yeah, I know, I used to live with that dude, man. We ain't cool like that no more. That's kind of what it was like. And after he was coming down the stairs, went into the room, came out, and then jumped onto the couch. Like, not jumped on top of it, but like head first, as if it was a bed. He dove onto it. And I'm like, you know what I mean? I ain't comfortable with all that, bro. And we ain't doing all that type of thing. But when I see him, he had the same type of injury, but his was worse. His was, the mouth was cut open, the clavicle was exposed, and it looked like he had like some type of half a bow tie, like a white bow tie that kind of blended in with the bone itself. It was the most demonic looking thing I had ever seen. I was like, what is this? And he came and sat down, and he looked like he was doing well as it pertains to his mental space, but he looked like he had died, because his injury was so pronounced to where you could see bone structure here, the tie and the bone coming together, the mouth cut completely open. It was a horrible sight. And the first thing that came to mind as I'm seeing these dudes is, these guys are dead. Like, then I'm sitting next to 2 spirits that I know, I'm familiar with these 2 people, or the way that it's set up is for me to feel so familiar with them, but in actuality, they're dead. That's what it felt like. And it was like, oh man, I felt real sad. I'm like, yo, this is some real demonic type stuff that I'm experiencing right now in my dream. But these are supposed to be friends. It's not like I felt threatened by them. I didn't think any of their energy was pointed at me in a negative space. I think they were sitting down with somebody they really wanted for them to have been comfortable with. I guess it was one of them type of things. Like, it was just if they set up the environment in the dream itself so that I wouldn't look at them for what they are, but more so feel as if I'm hanging out with some buddies I had already been cool with that I hadn't seen in a long time. But in actuality, these are 2 people who passed away, and they're hanging with me in my dream. That's what it felt like. And they're probably not of God. This is not good. If they were good, they would have been presented in a way that didn't look unalived. You know what I'm saying? And like, the one guy with the first guy seemed cool. The second guy seemed like he was a bit on some others. I didn't know what he was on. Didn't feel as comfortable with him, and neither did the first guy. So it was like, I didn't wake up from that dream. It was immediately switched to something else. I found myself in my old apartment in Hollywood, outside of the room that I used to be in all the time. That one I've been visiting very recently a lot. And this is a very interesting part of the dream continues to blend. I walk into the apartment, and I know how my blinds were set up. It wasn't blinds, but the curtains were set up back in the day. It used to be like a greenish, kind of grainy-ish curtain that used to hang up against all of the windows in the living room. And instead of those curtains was cobalt blue, which is ironically enough this color, this exact color. But it was it looked like it had been put across the window where the curtain used to be, and it was made of aluminum foil. Very thin aluminum foil, sort of like you see certain balloons made of. If you know of the texture of what I'm talking about, it's like those foil balloons that have blue on them or may have different colors that they are. It was like that was plastered over the window, but it looked really, really pretty and really rich, but you could tell it was aluminum foil. And for whatever reason in my dream, I walk up to it and I look to peel it off. It's as if I'm trying to take it down for whatever reason. And as I peel it off, it was another layer behind it of the same thing. So I'm like, what the hell? But it was a really pretty blue, cobalt blue to be exact. And I know that color very well because it's one of my mother's favorite colors. So I look over all around the room, I look and I see that type of display over all the windows. And it felt very nice. I was like, yo, this is pretty. It looks pretty. And I see my mother walk in the way that I remember her when she was like maybe in her late 50s, early 60s, when she was completely healthy, before the cancer, before anything. She was looking her best to my memory, you know, the memory that I have of my mother. And she walked across the room and went into the kitchen area and stood by the wall, facing the wall, like as if she was confused, and just stood staring at the wall. Now for me, I've had many dreams at this point, maybe 3 different dreams where people have stood and looked at a wall who are no longer with me no more. My first one was my great-grandmother. No, not my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my grandfather's wife, the same grandfather I was telling you guys about. My grandmother Manny, Uncle Therma's mother, she was facing the wall in one dream that I had, wearing all black. And then there was another dream that I had where somebody was doing that too, but I don't remember exactly who it was. But I think I told you guys about that dream as well. Now, in this dream, my mother walks across the room and then walks into the kitchen and then does the same thing. But in this situation, I'm like, all right. I walk up to my mother and I kind of like redirect her back to the living room. And I put my hands on both of her shoulders and I said, Mommy, you are a ghost. Thank you for being blue, but the good kind of blue. And then I woke up right after that. But it was like I was trying to tell her, like, if you confused or if you walking around this place as a thinking you're still around, I want you to know that I know in this particular dream that you've passed away and that you should not be confused by that. You are a ghost. And it was like, thank you for being blue, but the good kind of blue. Because, you know, blue is like another way of saying sad, right? But in this case, I was talking about the cobalt blue because she had it all over the room in the form of that foil I was telling you about. And it looked like she was wearing it too. It was some kind of part of her garment that had that same exact blue on it. So the whole room had like a nice shade of that particular blue. And I know that was her favorite color, or second favorite color rather, behind yellow. So it was like, I kind of told her, I was like, thank you for that. Redirecting her to assure her, like, I don't want you standing at the wall for no reason. I don't know what that is supposed to represent, but I'm not going to allow my mother to sit there for longer than 3 seconds. Because it was almost like she was a simulation who had just been, you know, the controller had just been left alone after a while. It was like she walked in there under her own validity, and then she stared at the wall as if somebody had put the controller down and stopped using her. You know what I mean? It was that kind of thing. It was like you were playing video games or something, and the sim just kind of like doesn't continue to interact anymore. And looked like, as she was looking at the wall, it was like a certain deep confusion. She was looking like, it was like a deep level of, I don't know what is going on, I forgot who I am, I don't know anybody type stuff. And she was just blank stare looking at the wall like this close to it. I'm like, nah, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. I took complete control of her. I just said, Mommy, come over here. You are a ghost. Thank you for being blue, but the good kind of blue. And I smiled, and she smiled back at me. She kind of woke up out of that, and I woke up out of the dream. Now, the way I saw it was, whatever it was those two dudes had going on, immediately my mom intercepted into the dream. That's the way I looked at it. She immediately jumped into the dream after that whole situation. I guess she thought of it as a threat or whatever. That's how it looked like to me. But it was almost like, nah, I see these two characters coming into the dream. I'm intercepting it spiritually. That's what it felt like. That's exactly what it felt like. But in doing so, that was how she showed up into my dream. Now, the one thing that kind of made the cobalt blue thing kind of make some sense is that I went to the observatory a few days ago, that same day, basically, and went down to the area where I found what looked like her blue circular necklace, and I showed you guys that on my video that I made about a year ago when I went down there and just happened to see what looked like the same necklace that she had lost. It was a long video. I even labeled this. You guys can check that out. I've actually never seen that video. There's a few videos on this thing I haven't seen that I think are prominent for me to watch someday, but nevertheless, that's what it was. And so I went back down there to where that necklace was a couple days ago. So that was maybe why I saw everything that was blue, because that necklace happened to be that exact same blue as well. And so it was one of them situations where, okay, that kind of made some sense. But her looking at the wall, I wasn't going to allow that to happen. I wasn't going to allow that to happen. Whatever that is supposed to represent, I quickly changed the narrative on that. I'm like, nah, we ain't doing that. I want my mother to be lucid in this dream. If she's in my subconscious for whatever reason, she ain't going to be staring at a wall for no reason, confused. Not if I can do something to change that whole narrative. So that's really what it was, man. Very, very spiritual stuff. And I just felt like, just like in real life, what my mother would have done, she would have wanted to intercept anything that was otherwise uncomfortable. And them two dudes with the messed up appearance, whatever that was, it was no surprise to me that it didn't take me waking up for her to immediately jump into the dream. It didn't take no time at all for her to show up her best, you know what I mean? Not looking like a unalived anything. She looked her very best. Because a lot of times I've been having dreams about my mom, as I've illustrated to you guys. It'd be me arguing with her, or, you know, it was a lot of negativity surrounding her in my dreams. And I hadn't seen her in any of my dreams since, until this one. And just like I know she would do in real life, if she thought of something was a threat, even if I wasn't concerned with it, if she felt she was concerned with it, she would intervene. That's just the type of person she was. I could be comfortable with you. You know what I mean? You could be cool. I get good vibes from you. If she gets bad vibes for you, she's getting in the way. That's how she used to be with me when I was a kid, too. There's a couple of friends that I had that she told me she didn't want me hanging around because she got bad vibes from them. I never had those vibes, but she was the one who did. And so I would always trust her and listen to her because, you know, she knew what she was talking about. So if she said you no good, you were no good, you know what I mean? And in this situation, that's kind of what I was getting. She was like, I like them two. So I'm stepping in. You will be seeing me next, and I'm basically pulling you out of that dream. And I think that's what it was, because I don't remember that dream necessarily ending. It was me sitting there in that space with them two dudes who was, you know, however messed up they were. And then immediately the dream just snaps. I just snapped out of that, and I'm outside of my apartment in Hollywood. There was no transition. It was no conclusion. In the middle of me looking at this dude with the messed up clavicle and face and all that, and just starting to get a certain vibe that he wasn't quite as solid as the other guy, that's when immediately mom intervened, like, we in here. Yeah, nah, whatever they talking about, we out of that. That's not going to be in your head for too much longer. So, yeah, man, I felt like that was important because just of the nature of those dreams, the nature of how they were set up, I thought was extremely poignant. Something I wouldn't mind remembering. One of my favorite dreams of my mother, too, to be honest with you, with her looking that way, as healthy as she looked, and the blue and everything, a color that we both really liked. So, yeah, man, I felt like that would be something to remember. So, that's pretty much it, man. That's how it was. I don't remember what kind of dream I had last night. Can't say I remember. You know, yesterday I decided not to really do much of nothing outside of the house because I had it set up for me to do so many drafts throughout the course of the morning. I woke up at out of that dream I had, I think I woke up about 6:50 something, did everything I had to do so I could be able to sit down and do those drafts at 8 o'clock, for which 4 of them were scheduled at the same time. So I knew I didn't want anything getting in the way of that, including my preparation for the morning. So everything, I sat down, did breakfast and just drafted. And by the time all those drafts were done, everything that I had done was complete. It was 11:30, and then I had another one set up for 4 o'clock. So what I decided to do instead was just kind of laze around for about 2 hours, and then did my workout for that day early so that I could be ready by 4 o'clock for the draft. So that's what I did. All that stuff, set up, ate early. And after that, I went to sleep, man. After I finished the draft around 5 o'clock, I was out cold till about 8:30 at night, as to which I worked on a playlist, completed a playlist, the K-List 395, which I haven't done art for yet, but will be posted later on tonight. And I thought it came out well. A lot of good music came out. So yeah, that's kind of how my day went yesterday. I definitely got some exercise in, but I didn't leave the house for really no reason. So that's why I wanted to make sure I get out today. I got out after doing laundry. I felt like staying in the house, but just the same, I knew that I could shake that off and get some exercise here. So that's what you're seeing me do now, man, after taking care of all of my chores in the morning. So that's kind of how it's been for the last 2 days. I just wanted everybody to, see my face in regards to that dream. I wanted to make sure that I document that dream and I don't forget it, because it was a lot to it. And that's pretty much what I gotta say, man. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. Stuff I've been paying attention to online is not really all that important. I was listening to some dude on Tasha K's platform, of whom is also on the prayer list, Tasha K. But he had come on there, and I guess he was airing out the dirty laundry of Will Smith and Jada. And he had a lot of poignant things to say. He did 2 interviews, one 10 months ago, one 4 months ago. So I watched the first interview all the way through, and then I watched half of the second interview before leaving just now. And it's one of them situations where if I'm going to say anything to that, I just say I don't think that he's not credible, because there's plenty of footage of him being around Will, dating all the way back to the 90s. He's one of Will's homies from Philadelphia. But here's the thing, man. If you're going to be a celebrity, it's tough to be able to vet certain people out of your life, because at the end of the day, if they're your day ones, you're growing with them. Like if you get into the industry at 17, 16 years old, whoever your friends are your friends. And as you bring them to Hollywood and you expose them to whatever you expose them to, and you start to get into whatever it is you get into, they're becoming who they're becoming within the environments that you've snatched them from, as well as the one you brought them to. And then from there, it's like they're watching you rise to a certain space and surround yourself with certain types of people. And they have their own aspirations of who they want to be. And they can't reach those levels, but they can watch you go to the highest of heights. And I think that's kind of the dynamic there. And so you got this guy being your assistant, but what you can hear in his tone is that he thinks highly of himself. So it's almost like a question for me of whether or not this man is jealous. And a lot of different energies that come with that just makes me wonder if this person were somebody that Will met in Los Angeles, how close would he be to him? Probably not very, but because he knew him from back home, there was automatic trust factor there. And this is what takes me back to the situation. The proximity does not often properly vet who you should trust. At the end of the day, just because a dude grew up in your neighborhood or y'all bang together does not mean that he's going to pan out over time to be your very best trust partner or friend or whatever. It's a give and take. And if for some reason they feel slighted for any reason, you may find out that very close homie of yours is actually your enemy. And that proximity was a liar. Just because you was close to this dude didn't mean that he had the qualities of somebody that you could trust with your darkest secrets. Because you knew him forever, you let that be the basis of whether or not you allow that person to be so intertwined in your personal business. And that could be a mistake in life, a big mistake. And you see so many people make it so many times. Meanwhile, you allow, politics to further vet away people who otherwise would be some of your best friends. Can't mess with them because they from over there. We don't rock with them. It's like, but that person has all the qualities of the person that you would be able to trust versus the people around you who don't. And there's no real factor there that allows you to see that, except for bumping your head when they've ended up betraying you. And so it's like, this is the type of thing where I kind of think this is one of those. I really do. I think Will Smith just brought the wrong dude to Hollywood with him. However you slice that. And the stuff that Will Smith was getting into, the lifestyle choices that Will was making coming up in this Hollywood thing, You didn't need nobody who was going to feel like what you were doing was against their moral compass. What you were doing was something that could use against you. What you were getting into was ultimately something that they needed to expose for whatever reason. And as the stuff that he was saying was coming out, whatever he had to say, which I will not repeat, the stuff that he had to say about Will and Jada was so smearing that, to me, him being able to walk around alive speaks to the decency in Will Smith. Because there's a lot of people that you can't say that stuff about, especially if it's true, and still be able to live with the power that Will has in this world. You end up having a fentanyl or something, or choking on a chicken bone or something, like seriously. Very seriously. The fact that this man is still around speaks to the decency in Will Smith, however you want to slice it. That's what it tells me. That Will Smith is a good guy. Because if he wasn't a good guy, this guy would not be around anymore. Either that or they ain't been able to get him. And they probably want him. Because that's the type of stuff that he's releasing on Will Smith, man. And, you know, I mean, nothing surprised me. I grew up in LA. I grew up in Hollywood. Nothing surprised me about any of these celebrities. A lot of the stuff that he was talking about, he mentioned some stuff about Scientology. I done told y'all my experience with the Scientology people and what I saw, which I thought was extremely organized in nature and downright creepy, to be honest with you. Told that story. Now I'll repeat it here. I was outside of the Scientologist building in Hollywood, over there near Vine. And it was, I don't remember what time of day it was or night it was. I honestly don't remember at this point. But I was sitting outside with my homeboy Cage and a few other of my buddies, as we often did, just kind of loiter around Hollywood for no reason at that point. It's probably about, I don't think I was any older than 20 years old, 19 years old. And a guy, I guess he was a drunken driver. I don't remember what he was driving. I honestly don't remember at this point. But he was flying down Hollywood Boulevard and swerved and hit a multitude, maybe 3 or 4 parked cars right in front of us. Right in front of us. Like, luckily enough, we, for whatever, however it worked, were at a distance to where he went past us and then hit the cars further down the way, so none of that hit us. We weren't in harm's way as this happened. But he ended up crashing after hitting the 4th or 5th car, side swiping him and just boom, 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 and finally the car comes to a halt. I'd say about maybe 6 people came running out of the Scientology building. They were all synchronized in their run as if they practiced running together. Every step was doom, 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 like they were militant. They pulled him out of the car through the window and then carried his body into the building, the Scientology building. Like they jogged him back to the Scientology building. No police were called at that point. This took, and I'm telling you, this took all of about 15 to 20 seconds for all of these men to run out of there, pull him out the car, and then run him back into the... It was surgical, man. They were absolutely surgical. It was as if they had timed the crash. It was as if they were anticipating the crash and they had done this a million times. It was almost like they had lived this before many times and had timed it in such a way to know how to get him out the car and back into the building rather quickly. I'd never seen, it was some alien type stuff, y'all. Alien. That's the best way I know how to describe it. For a circumstance like that to have happened, for them to be able to come out of the building as fast as he crashed, pull him out of there and go back in as quick as we could basically see it all happen, I was like, how the hell did they know that was going to happen? If they didn't know that was going to happen, how were they already anticipating it? And as they were anticipating it, how the hell did they do that so fast and so clean? So what I'm here to tell y'all is, and this is in Hollywood, the thick of Hollywood, whatever the hell they doing in Scientology, it's something else. It's something else, man. It ain't like anything I've ever seen. And I've been hearing stories about Scientologists for years. They got a Scientology building not too far from here, a few blocks down on the right. But what I saw there helped me understand that whatever people think Illuminati is, whatever people think the Masons are and all this stuff, they something like that. And even if you are in a position to be as organized as they are, to anticipate a real-time event like that and to be able to move as quickly as they did in and out of that building, I don't really have any explanation for that. I don't have any explanation for that. I don't know what the hell that was. I don't know how you even do that. I don't even know how you plan to do something like that. Let's say they had footage of this car as it was going down the street. Now, mind you, this is before street cameras. This is back in like the early 2000s. This is before that. So even if they were able to see this happening, you couldn't explain to me why they were running in synchronization like that. Like they look like robots. Moving every step, the same exact step. As if they practice jogging with one another and are so sharp in that way. Like it did not look like anything I had ever seen, man. I've never seen anything like that in my life since. Never seen it before, never seen it since. You got tactical units that don't move like that, reacting to real-time events, especially a car accident. It's not like this is some type of crazy shootout or something like, no. This is some wacky dude driving drunk, hitting a bunch of cars and almost killing himself. How do you time something like that? And so for me, it was like, all right, this is beyond weird. This is a weird timing type of thing. This is some alien stuff here. And so that's my experience with Scientology. So when this dude was talking about Will Smith and the stuff that the Scientologists do and how they operate and, you know, kind of getting into a vague way of displaying it because he didn't want to give too much because I guess the rest of it is in his book. Whatever he gonna say about the Scientologists will not surprise me, man. After that little event right there, I was certain that they are on some other stuff. Some very, very other stuff. And so that's really what it was, man. For me, just listening to him say that they were Scientologists told me everything I need to know. It further reinforces why I think that it's amazing that this man is able to speak. Knowing how they operate, that he's even able to get all this into the world to even say all this is amazing to me. How he's even alive to do it. And so that's what I'm here to tell y'all, man. It's like Hollywood is a different beast. And if you're going to be here trying to be famous and stuff like that, bringing your day ones is going to bring them into a world that maybe they're not wired for, to be honest with you. If you're coming from out of town and you're going to be a big star and you actually make it, some of the stuff that you're going to be involved in, it's going to change you and it's going to change them in watching you be changed by it. That's what I know. And this is another prime example of that circumstance where this guy he was not going to be loyal to this Will Smith individual no more. He wasn't going to be loyal to this guy no more. For whatever reason, they had a falling out, and now this dude want to smear him with stuff that he know is going to take the man's image to the highest order. You know what I mean? He knows. And whether he's guilty of these things or not, I don't know if any crimes are committed, but like, you know, it's just some character smearing stuff. And so for me, it's like, if you his day one, you his homeboy, and he didn't put all this money in your pocket, regardless if he got all this going on, whatever it is that you think is immoral, and maybe he has some people around him that make him worse and maybe didn't treat you all that great, you still ain't got no loyalty to him based on how long y'all known each other to at least not air out all of his darkest secrets that you know of. You know what I'm saying? Just so you can make a buck. What did this man do to you is the question I have for him, that would make it so that you would allow yourself to be seen as somebody who would turn on a friend of 40 years who took you from the depths of Philadelphia streets to the biggest Hollywood platform and allowed you to be a part of so much. Why are you so quick to throw him under the bus? And my thought was, before watching the interview, as I'm watching it, my initial thoughts were, some people, they don't live for no other reason than to get close to successful people so that they can reveal to the world all that they do. And successful people, or people who are looking for success and are imminent to receive it, need to know that. You need to know that some of these people around you ain't around you for no other reason than to write the book tomorrow. That's all they're there for. And so they have to be your friend. They have to be close to you. They have to be able to be trusted so much so that they can get all the dirt that they can ultimately give up when they turn 55. So if you're going to be in that world, you got to know that your light, your fame, and a heightened level of success is going to attract those type of opportunities. Long-term people who will wait the long game to get you. People who will gather dirt on you for 30 years only to spew it out in like 3 interviews and a few books. And truth of the matter is, once you come to this place and you experience that rare perspective of superstardom and wealth, you're probably gonna be involved in stuff that's gonna make you look worse, off of the sheer nature that's what Hollywood is. Everybody, makes everybody do whatever. You see the Puffy thing, it's showing the world what's going on in that way. You hear what's being alleged about this man and how he operated in terms of making people guilty, so to speak, so that he can have them in his back pocket. Having them all doing all types of weird stuff so that people would then not look at them as credible. When it's time for them to tell the truth about what's been done to them, they don't look credible. Like that type of stuff, that's the environment you're in. So it's like some stuff that y'all want to do, celebrities, just, you got to understand it's going to bring about a certain opportunity. You know what I mean? A person who's an opportunist, they're going to see a massive opportunity to make a big buck off of you, just off of the strength of everything that you're prone to do in this environment as a superstar. All the things that are going to be privy to you that are not given to them, or anyone else for that matter. All the opportunities that may come your way, all the compromising circumstances that are going to be presented to you from within your status. It attracts that. It will turn some of your day ones into that. Especially if they have a jealous bone in their body about your success, and or some secret thoughts about who they believe you to be, which I think a little bit of that going on too, to be honest with you, in regards to this Will Smith situation. So for me, it's like, I don't know, man. I never pegged Will Smith to be somebody who was a horrible guy. I think he might have some dark secrets. Just like a lot of these celebrities got some dark secrets, some wacko sex stuff. Yeah, probably a lot of them do. And what we're finding out is that a lot of them are groomed into being victims in that way. So with a certain level of success, some of those gatekeepers demand sex from you. So it's inevitable that a good 90% of them probably have some things in their past that they don't want you to know about, that ultimately happened on their way to the top, or things they had to do to maintain that status. I think that's what Hollywood has been rumored to be about for a long time, which is one of the main reasons why I didn't want to take the talents that I had to go after any of that stuff, because I'm from this place, so I already heard all the stories growing up. These stories have been in my eardrum since I was a small kid, being in this town. So I'm telling y'all, man, there's a reason, and this is something I want people to understand. There is a reason I'm from Hollywood, having the talent that I have, and never actually wanting to be Hollywood, so to speak. I think that my entire existence and the way that I do things is a bit of a bigger metaphor than even myself, in a way, because it tells you how little you should actually want that stuff if somebody from the town who has the talent doesn't want nothing to do with it. That should tell you something. Organically too. Like, it's very natural for me to not want anything to do with what they want me to do in regards to chasing success, and I'm from it. People come from all over the world to do the things that I do naturally, in the place that I'm from, so that they can reach success that everybody in the world is told they should want. And the person from that place is telling you, I don't want it. I don't want it. I want to be able to do my videos on my own. I want to do my creative stuff, my art and all that stuff without the measures of success that are ultimately set in place by these gatekeepers who want you to do freaky stuff. I don't have nothing to do with it, because it ain't what it's cracked up to be. And a lot of times the measures of success make it so that you have to forego your dignity as a person, your dignity as a man, your morals have to go in the ground so that you can be as compromised as those gatekeepers, and to have it so that those gatekeepers have access to you and whatever they want you to do. That's the only way you even get the type of success that a lot of our favorite people have. It ain't because they're so very talented. It was because they were so very willing. On top of the talent that could be exploited was also a certain guilt that would otherwise keep them quiet, as the real stuff that goes on behind the scenes that ultimately makes it so that powerful people can live the freedom they want to live. Because you got to look at it like this. We, average Joe, will idolize over our favorite sex symbols, right? Whatever the case may be. You might love Megan Thee Stallion. Maybe you're a lady, you love Brad Pitt, or whatever the case. You know what I'm saying? Within these gatekeeping circumstances are the people who put them in place to be considered these sex symbols, which means they see them as sex symbols. And so in the presence of being powerful in a city that ultimately says who comes and who goes in regards to this type of celebrity and this type of attention, they want access to whom they think is sexy, just like you would. Since you put these people on your walls and promote everything they do and ultimately support everything they do and lust over these people as you do, so do those gatekeepers. So with the power of being gatekeepers comes a certain intention to have sex with these people. Unlike you, who will never have that opportunity, these people get to say whether or not these sex symbols, so to speak, get to go to the next level in their support. And what comes with that type of leverage over a human being, or the environment for which that leverage would otherwise be a gift, is the intention to have access over whoever you want. That's what it is. You're a billionaire. You got the power to say who's rich and who's not, who's famous and who's not. That dream of what that looks like is being able to say, okay, that person has to go through me, that person has to go through me, and I'm attracted to that person, so they got to go through me and in order to get what they need. It's what a lot of these gatekeepers aspire to be able to do, and they groom one another on the way up to be this way because of that access intention. So that's how you got to look at it. It's an access intention. The dream of the gatekeeper is to be able to screw whoever they want, especially who it is that all of you idolize. And so when you understand that, it's like, if that's your thing and you're promiscuous in that way and you don't have any problem with going both ways and going every direction and doing all types of stuff all super loose, then it's right up your alley. Because it's not going to hurt you at all to do these things. It's not going to be abnormal to your spirit and your body to do whatever it is that they're asking you to do. But if you're a person who has a certain moral compass, they still want access to you. If you find yourself to be a straight guy and you don't want to do nothing like that, they still get to say whether or not you get to be successful as you're dreaming to be. And a lot of people want that success more than they care to be close to them morals. And so they allow themselves to be groomed into opening themselves up to these type of events and these type of activities, like what Puffy got going on, like what R. Kelly had going on, like what the others that have been caught for this type of stuff. And some of these people have really deep, dark desires for the same sex, for children. So you can only imagine what the dream is for them when they are wired like this. They want access to the stuff that they don't want you to know they want access to. They need that access. because it's a part of that ultimate leverage in being in that situation. So it's like when you open up your mind to the understanding that a lot of ambitious people have deep desires to see the world be accessible to them at every angle. They don't want a door they can't walk through. They don't want a person they don't have access to. They don't want anybody to tell them no, and they ain't gonna allow for no to come their way. When you allow that environment to be in your mind, and you understand the fullness of that, then you can see how this is possible, and you can open up your understanding to what probably has happened in Hollywood and what some of these people are hiding and what some of them had to go through and do just to be successful. And to think that this has been going on for decades, so you know it's very advanced and it's been going on strong. You know what I'm saying? It's been practiced for a long time, which means they've done a lot to a lot of people who probably resisted circumstances. They worked through them, they worked around it and kept it quiet. So it's like when you have a science that you've been working for this long and you've gone through the more or less the ups and downs of it and the ebbs and flows and the trials and errors of it, now you see how advanced it is, how they're able to get around certain things. As to where they were probably making certain mistakes early on, they ain't making no more. So it's like, man, in Hollywood, it's probably best if you are a talented person to know what you're getting into. If you're going to reach for the highest success, mentally and physically prepare yourself for access. That's really what it is. They want to have access to you. That's really what it comes down to. And whatever you're going to say to try to resist that, they've already worked around it for long times in various different people and various different personalities. And have worked the consequences out of people who don't comply with that access. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, that's why a person from Hollywood like myself would tell you, it ain't what you want, it ain't what you're cracked up to be. Because the gatekeepers, a lot of times, want access. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.